Welcome to the Bard's Truth, with your host, the Green Bard. This is the Direwolves of Winterfell, episode 4.4, continuing A Clash of Kings, Summer and the Winged Wolf, Chained. A Clash of Kings, Bran 3. When we left Bran and Summer, both were upset at their constant separation, and Bran was also dismayed at his dreams, partially fueled by his reaction to Luwin's anti-magic bias. In this chapter, we are again reminded of the wolves' confinement, and during Bran's first meeting with the Reeds, we are also reminded of Summer's ability to keep Shaggy Dog in check. Dancer was draped in bardings of snowy white wool, emblazoned with the gray direwolf of House Stark, while Bran wore gray breeches and a white doublet, his sleeves and collar trimmed with vair. Over his heart was his wolf's head brooch of silver and polished jet. He would sooner have had Summer than a silver wolf on his breast, but Sir Roderick had been unyielding. Later, after meeting the Reeds, "They won't bite if I'm there." Bran was pleased that they wanted to see the wolves. Summer won't anyway, and he'll keep Shaggy Dog away. He was curious about these mudmen. He could not recall ever seeing one before. His father had sent letters to the Lord of Greywater over the years, but none of the Crannogman had ever called at Winterfell. He would have liked to talk to them more, but the great hall was so noisy that it was hard to hear anyone who wasn't right beside you. Finally, we get our first vivid depiction of a wolf dream, through Summer's eyes, when the Reeds visit the godswood. Note how the author bridges the boy's thoughts with the wolf's thoughts, using the sense of smell. Masterful. The first wolf thoughts are of pack and the instinct to hunt. Then, when the Reeds enter, he notes that they had no taint of fear, likely a scent-related observation. Note also Jojen's observation about Bran and Summer's powers. He went to sleep with his head full of knights in gleaming armor, fighting with swords that shone like starfire. But when the dream came, he was in the godswood again. The smells from the kitchen and the great hall were so strong that it was almost as if he had never left the feast. He prowled beneath the trees, his brother close behind him. This night was wildly alive, full of the howling of the man-pack at their play. The sounds made him restless. He wanted to run, to hunt. He wanted to. The rattle of iron made his ears prick up. His brother heard it too. They raced through the undergrowth toward the sound, bounding across the still water at the foot of the old white one. He caught the scent of a stranger, the man smell well mixed with leather and earth and iron. The intruders had pushed a few yards into the wood when he came upon them, a female and a young male, with no taint of fear to them. Even when he showed them the white of his teeth, his brother growled low in his throat, yet they still did not run. "Here they come," the female said. "Mira," some part of him whispered. Some wisp of the sleeping boy lost in the wolf dream. "Did you know they would be so big?" "They will be bigger still before they are grown," the young male said, watching them with eyes large, green, and unafraid. "The black one is full of fear and rage. But the gray is strong, stronger than he knows. Can you feel him, sister?" "No," she said, moving a hand to the hilt of the long brown knife she wore. "Go careful, Jojen." "He won't hurt me. This is not the day I die." The male walked toward them, unafraid, and reached out for his muzzle. A touch as light as a summer breeze, yet at the brush of those fingers the wood dissolved away and the very ground turned to smoke beneath his feet and swirled away laughing. And then he was spinning and falling. Jojen admits later that he sensed Bran inside Summer. It seems that he came almost with the purpose to help Bran come to terms with the truth of his burgeoning magical power, partially indicated by the dreams. Both Reeds, Jojen especially, seem quite aware of the way of wargs, and are completely comfortable around the wolves. Too comfortable, as we find out later. A Clash of Kings, Bran 4. That comfort continues without concern early in the next chapter as Mira plays with Summer. She even muses how mild-tempered Summer is, when Bran agrees that Summer wouldn't hurt them. Summer certainly doesn't consider them a threat, and Bran obviously likes Jojen and Mira, so he's mirroring Bran's good humor, especially in the affection for Mira. It's quite endearing. Bran has a bit of a crush. Still, Summer is undoubtedly acting as a wolf, and the way he hunts her is reminiscent of the way he was very careful during the attack on the wildlings in A Game of Thrones. Later, Bran and Summer have another touching, affectionate moment as well. Mira moved in a wary circle, her net dangling loose in her left hand, the slender three-pronged fog spear poised in her right. Summer followed her with his golden eyes, turning, his tail held swift and tall, watching. "Yay!" the girl shouted, the spear darting out. The wolf slid to the left and leapt before she could draw back the spear. Mira cast her net, the tangles unfolding in the air before her. Summer's leap carried him into it. He dragged it with him as he slammed into her chest and knocked her over backward. Her spear went spinning away. The damp grass cushioned her fall, but the breath went out of her in an oof. The wolf crouched atop her. Bran hooted, "You lose!" "She wins," her brother Jojen said. "Summer's snared." He was right, Bran saw. Thrashing and growling at the net, trying to rip free, Summer was only ensnaring himself worse. Nor could he bite through. Let him out! Laughing, the reed girl threw her arms around the tangled wolf and rolled them both. Summer gave a piteous whine, his legs kicking against the cords that bound them. Mira knelt, undid a twist, pulled at a corner, tugged deftly here and there, and suddenly the wolf was bounding free. "Summer, to me!" Bran spread his arms. "Watch," he said in an instant before the wolf bounded into him. He clung with all his strength as the wolf dragged him bumping through the grass. They wrestled and rolled and clung to each other, one snarling and yapping, the other laughing. In the end, it was Bran sprawled on top, the mud-spattered direwolf under him. "Good wolf," he panted. Summer licked him across the ear. Mira shook her head. "Does he never grow angry? Not with me." Bran grabbed the wolf by his ears, and Summer snapped at him fiercely. But it was all in play. "Sometimes he tears my garb, but he's never drawn blood." "Your blood, you mean. If he'd gotten past my net." "He wouldn't hurt you. He knows I like you." All the other lords and knights had departed within a day or two of the harvest feast, but the reeds had stayed to become Bran's constant companions. Jojen was so solemn that old Nan called him little grandfather, but Mira reminded Bran of his sister Arya. She wasn't scared to get dirty, and she could run and fight and throw as good as a boy. She was older than Arya, though, almost 16, a woman grown. They were both older than Bran, even though his 9th name day had finally come and gone, but they'd never treated him like a child. "I wish you were our wards instead of the Walders." He began to struggle toward the nearest tree. His dragging and wriggling was unseemly to watch, but when Mira moved to lift him, he said, "No, don't help me." He rolled clumsily and pushed and squirmed backward, using the strength of his arms, until he was sitting with his back to the trunk of a tall ash. "See, I told you." Summer lay down with his head in Bran's lap. "I never knew anyone who fought with a net before," he told Mira while he scratched the direwolf between the ears. "Did your master at arms teach you net fighting?" "Bran, bruh, don't get all elitist when you give compliments. Her father taught her. Down to earth, bruh." Moving on, Summer's affection for Bran and Mira doesn't appear to extend to Jojen. When he joins the exchange, he quickly changes topics to the supernatural, implying that Bran is the winged wolf of his dream. The assertion that the wolf is held by gray stone chains seems a rather heavy-handed implication that Maester Luwin and Winterfell itself are holding Bran back from achieving his magical potential. I do wonder if there is a larger prophecy around this figure of the winged wolf, or if it is first introduced into Westerosi lore by Jojen. In any case, Summer mirrors Bran, by first acting intrigued by the conversation, and then acting defensive when Bran wants to shift back to a more comfortable subject. Jojen's eyes were the color of moss, and sometimes when he looked at you, he seemed to be seeing something else. Like now. "I dreamt of a winged wolf bound to earth with gray stone chains," he said. "It was a green dream, so I knew it was true. A crow was trying to peck through the chains, but the stone was too hard and his beak could only chip at them." "Did the crow have 3 eyes?" Jojen nodded. Summer raised his head from Bran's lap and gazed at the mudman with his dark golden eyes. "When I was little, I almost died of graywater fever. That was when the crow came to me." Later that chapter. "I only have 2. You have 3. The crow gave you the 3rd, but you will not open it." He had a slow, soft way of speaking. "With 2 eyes you see my face. With 3 you could see my heart. With 2 you can see the oak tree there. With 3 you could see the acorn the oak grew from, and the stump that it will one day become. With 2 you see no farther than your walls. With 3 you would gaze south to the summer sea and north beyond the wall." Summer got to his feet. "I don't need to see so far." Bran made a nervous smile. "I'm tired of talking about the crows. Let's talk about the wolves, or lizard lions. Have you ever hunted one, Mira? We don't have them here." At this point, the chapter takes a dangerous turn, when Jojen's intrusive dream questions make Bran more uncomfortable and then angry. Summer continues to mirror Bran's mood. As the situation escalates, it shows the lie to Bran's earlier assertion that Summer wouldn't hurt them. He would if Bran's mood led there, clearly, just as it nearly did with Tyrion before, and then Stiv after that. Also, We see Summer's independence again, as he does not obey immediately when Bran calls him off. Bran says that he wants Summer to stop threatening the Reeds, but Summer independently follows his mood, not his command. We also see pack behavior as Shaggy Dog joins Summer in threatening the Reeds. Bran's assertion that they won't hurt Hodor is dubious, given how he had only just insisted that Summer wouldn't hurt Meera either. At the end of it all, Summer lays next to Bran. This could be interpreted as affection or protectiveness. There is a lot exposed about the magic of the bond and telecommunication in general in this passage, so I present it to you here fully intact. Pay close attention to how Bran is consciously realizing, possibly for the first time, through Jojen's dialogue, the truth of how his mind is connected to Summer. His anger comes and shows itself in Summer's actions, as Jojen forces him to admit that fact, even as Bran is still trying to deny it. "No," said Bran. "I told you, I don't want. Did you dream of a wolf?" He was making Bran angry. "I don't have to tell you my dreams. I'm the prince. I'm the Stark in Winterfell. Was it Summer?" "You be quiet. The night of the harvest feast, you dreamed you were Summer in the godswood, didn't you?" "Stop it!" Bran shouted. Summer slid toward the weirwood, his white teeth bared. Jojen Reed took no mind. "When I touched Summer, I felt you in him, just as you are in him now." "You couldn't have. I was in bed. I was sleeping." "You were in the godswood, all in gray." "It was only a bad dream." Jojen stood. I felt you fall. Is that what scares you? The falling?" "The falling," Bran thought. "And the golden man, the queen's brother, he scares me too, but mostly the falling." He did not say it, though. How could he? He had not been able to tell Sir Roderick or Maester Luwin, and he could not tell the Reeds either. If he didn't talk about it, maybe he would forget. He had never wanted to remember. It might not even be a true remembering. "Do you fall every night, Bran?" Jojen asked quietly. A low rumbling growl rose from Summer's throat, and there was no play in it. He stalked forward, all teeth and hot eyes. Meera stepped between the wolf and her brother, spear in hand. "Keep him back, Bran. Jojen is making him angry." Meera shook out her net. "It's your anger, Bran," her brother said. "Your fear." "It isn't. I'm not a wolf." Yet he howled with them in the night, and tasted blood in his wolf dreams. "Part of you is Summer, and part of Summer is you. You know that, Bran." Summer rushed forward, but Meera blocked him, jabbing with the three-pronged spear. The wolf twisted aside, circling, stalking. Meera turned to face him. "Call him back, Bran." "Summer!" Bran shouted. "To me! Summer!" He slapped an open palm down on the meat of his thigh. His hand tingled, though his dead leg felt nothing. The direwolf lunged again, and again Meera's spear darted out. Summer dodged, circled back. The bushes rustled, and a lean black shape came padding from behind the weirwood, teeth bared. The scent was strong. His brother had smelled his rage. Bran felt hairs rise on the back of his neck. Meera stood beside her brother, with the wolves to either side. Bran called him off. "I can't." "Jojen, up the tree." "There's no need. Today is not the day I die." "Do it!" she screamed, and her brother scrambled up the trunk of the weirwood, using the face for handholds. The direwolves closed. Meera abandoned the spear and net, jumped up, and grabbed the branch above her head. Shaggy's jaws snapped shut beneath her ankle as she swung up and over the limb. Summer sat back on his haunches and howled, while Shaggy Dog worried the net, shaking it in his teeth. Only then did Bran remember that they were not alone. He cupped his hands around his mouth. "Hodor!" he shouted. "Hodor! Hodor!" He was badly frightened and somehow ashamed. "They won't hurt Hodor," he assured his treed friends. A few moments passed before they heard a tuneless humming. Hodor arrived half-dressed and mud-spattered from his visit to the hot pools. Bran had never been so glad to see him. "Hodor, please help me. Chase off the wolves. Chase them off." Hodor went to it gleefully, waving his arms and stamping his huge feet, shouting, "Hodor! Hodor!" running first at one wolf and then the other. Shaggy Dog was the first to flee, slinking back into the foliage with a final snarl. When Summer had enough, he came back to Bran and lay down beside him. No sooner did Meera touch the ground than she snapped up her spear and net again. Jojen never took his eyes off Summer. "We will talk again," he promised Bran. "It was the wolves, it wasn't me." He did not understand why they'd gotten so wild. Maybe Maester Luwin was right to lock them in the godswood. "Hodor," he said, "bring me to Maester Luwin." Summer mirrors Bran's mood throughout the passage. That's plain, but take careful note of how Bran refers to Shaggy Dog as his brother, and then the hairs on the back of Bran's neck rise. This is clearly Bran mirroring Summer, sharing Summer's senses. It's worth considering how much Bran may have been directly feeding Summer's actions through the bond. Bran never thinks of himself as a wolf, so it's not full warging, but I think this passage represents their consciousnesses blending to some degree as Bran gets more and more agitated. Later, Bran is still in denial, but that won't last long. He is placing his faith in Maester Luwing's increasingly blind assertions that magic doesn't exist or is gone from the world. Mira sees through the facade. No, my prince. Jojen Reed may have had a dream or two that he believes came true, but he does not have the green sight. No living man has that power. Bran said as much to Mira Reed when she came to him at dusk as he sat in his window seat, watching the lights flicker to life. I'm sorry for what happened with the wolves. Summer shouldn't have tried to hurt Jojen, but Jojen shouldn't have said all that about my dreams. The crow lied when he said I could fly, and your brother lied too. Or perhaps your maester is wrong. Yes, Mira. Luwin has been wrong all along, about a great many things. This chapter bears summarizing. Jojen says that a part of Summer is in Bran and vice versa. This is the first time this concept is explained in the text, but it immediately rings true. He also repeatedly mentions the winged wolf, and hangs the moniker on Bran. He also confirms that he's also dreamed of the three-eyed crow. We also find out that Bran does partially remember Jaime Lannister pushing him. This golden man and the associated falling is partly why Bran is afraid of these real dreams. He must be having a recurring nightmare about this. However, I think the fears about being a warg discussed prior are also true because of Bran's assertion that he's not a wolf, and that the wolves caused the incident, not him. Both assertions smack of denial. That'll change, though. A Clash of Kings, Bran 5. He seems terrified of being labeled a warg, which relates back to Old Nan's stories. This next chapter proves it. Jojen also repeats the mantra of the winged wolf, and also hangs the monikers of warg and beastling on Bran. He is not diplomatic about it at all. He seems intent on piercing Bran's denial. It's starting to work, but it makes Bran more fearful than ever. Note also how Jojen describes the bond to Summer, that Bran's soul seeks out its other half. Wow, that is as good a summary of the bond as I could imagine for this analysis. You know how old fiction says that vampires can't be seen in mirrors because they lack a soul? Not George R.R. Martin's fiction, but old vampire fiction anyway. Well, this is another kind of mirroring, where the souls are a matched pair, irrevocably bonded, and reflecting each other. He was scared, even then, but he had sworn to trust them, and a Stark of Winterfell keeps his sworn word. There's different kinds, he said slowly. There's the wolf dreams. Those aren't so bad as the others. I run and hunt and kill squirrels. And there's dreams where the crow comes and tells me to fly. Sometimes the tree is in those dreams too, calling my name. That frightens me. But the worst dreams are when I fall. He looked down into the yard, feeling miserable. I never used to fall before. When I climbed, I went every place, up on the roofs and along the walls. I used to feed the crows in the burned tower. Mother was afraid that I would fall, but I knew I never would. Only I did, and now when I sleep, I fall all the time. Mira gave his shoulder a squeeze. Is that all? I guess. Warg, said Jojen Reed. Bran looked at him, his eyes wide. What? Warg, shape-changer, beastling. That is what they will call you, if they should ever hear of your wolf dreams. The names made him afraid again. Who will call me? Your own folk. In fear. Some will hate you if they know what you are. Some will even try to kill you. Old Nan told scary stories of beastlings and shape-changers, sometimes. In the stories they were always evil. I'm not like that, Bran said. I'm not. It's only dreams. The wolf dreams are no true dreams. You have your eye closed tight whenever you're awake. But as you drift off, it flutters open and your soul seeks out its other half. The power is strong in you. I don't want it. I want to be a knight. A knight is what you want. A warg is what you are. You can't change that, Bran. You can't deny it or push it away. You are the winged wolf, but you will never fly. Jojen got up and walked to the window, unless you open your eye. He put 2 fingers together and poked Bran in the forehead, hard. When he raised his hand to the spot, Bran felt only the smooth, unbroken skin. There was no eye, not even a closed one. How can I open it if it's not there? Seems Jojen has been trying to get him to open his eye all along, just like the three-eyed crow. He tells Bran that they're all going to call him a warg. Jojen's not exactly selling it here, but he's right in his diagnosis of denial, and his later logic works as well to call on Bran to reach his potential. That's it for this episode. Join us next time where we'll start with the vivid wolf dream as Theon attacks the castle. Thanks to all the terrific artists who let me use their work on this YouTube video. Thanks as always to my family, in this case for the art. you enjoy this content, you can also consider supporting us on Patreon.